Howdy, y'all. With any luck at all, this will be the last video I make for 2020. I thought an interesting way to finish out the first half of World Cultures would be to talk about some Christmas traditions that are celebrated in places not named the United States. I've picked 12 countries, one for each of the 12 days of Christmas. And, okay, a warning before we get started. I've included the traditional Christmas greeting in one of the dominant languages of each of the countries I'm covering, but I only speak two of the 12 languages. So, on the off chance that anyone who speaks any of these languages ever watches this, I apologize in advance for my pronunciation. With that out of the way, we'll start with some place that does use a language I speak, the land down under. Merry Christmas from Australia. In Australia, people often go out to the beach to celebrate Christmas. If you remember way back at the beginning of the school year when we learned about the equator and the northern and southern hemispheres, you might recall that places south of the equator, like Australia, have opposite seasons from those of us who live in the northern hemisphere. That means that in Australia, December 25th is right in the middle of beach season. Really, who wouldn't like to go surfing with Santa? Fröhliche Weihnachten from Austria. In Austria, kids are taught that St. Nicholas will bring presents to all the good girls and boys. But there's also a Christmas monster called the Krampus, who is half goat, half demon. You know how Santa is supposed to carry a sack full of toys for good children? It's the Krampus's job to seize naughty little children, stuff them into his sack, and take them away, never to be seen again. Feliz Natal from Brazil. This one may be more for grown-ups, but in Brazil, all employers have to pay everyone who works for them an extra month's wages as a Christmas or end-of-year bonus. Again, that's not just a tradition, it's actually required by law. You know, if anyone listening wants to write to the principal or to the Georgetown School Board and tell them that Teacher Jimmy deserves an extra month's pay this year, you have both my permission and my enthusiastic endorsement. Gleðileg jól from Iceland. In Iceland, kids start getting presents long before Christmas Day. See, in Iceland, there's a giantess named Grilla who is said to cook naughty children in her pot. But she also has 13 children called the Yule Lads. On the 13 nights before Christmas, Icelandic kids leave their shoes out, and each night, one of the Yule lads will sneak into the house and leave little toys in the shoes of good children, but rotten potatoes in the shoes of bad children. I guess that's better than letting their giant mom cook the kids in a pot, right? Meiri Kurisumasu from Japan. Believe it or not, in Japan, there is a strong tradition for people to get Kentucky Fried Chicken and eat it on Christmas. So, this Christmas, if you've got a hankering for a bucket of Colonel Sanders' original recipe, you can always try to talk your parents into it by telling them that you're being multicultural and want to celebrate Christmas Japanese style. I don't know if that will work, but it would technically be true. Priecīgus Ziemassvētkus from Latvia. In Latvia, kids are expected to perform for their presents. Before you're given your Christmas presents, you are expected to sing a song, play a musical instrument, do a dance, or, the most popular choice, recite a Christmas poem. Kids are expected to memorize a number of Christmas poems, with short ones for little kids and longer and more difficult poems going to older kids. How about you? Do you have to work for any of your presents? Eid Milad Majid from Lebanon. Of all the countries in the Middle East, Lebanon is the one with the largest proportion of Christians, and among Lebanese Christians, nativity scenes are a really, really big deal. Nativity scenes, which are models showing Jesus' birth, are a little different in Lebanon compared with most of the rest of the world. First, Jesus is usually depicted as being born in a cave rather than stables, and even more importantly, a few weeks before Christmas, kids in Lebanon will plant seeds in wet cotton wool, and as those plants start to sprout, they will be added to the nativity scenes so that the plants shown are all real ones, grown specifically for that Christmas, and all the kids get to feel like they took a part in its creation. Maligayang Pasko from the Philippines. The Philippines will have huge lantern festivals at Christmas time with giant lanterns called paroles made in the shape of stars, representing the star that was believed to mark the location of Jesus' birth. These giant star lanterns will be put up on December 14th and left up until New Year's Day. Crăciun Fericit from Romania. In Romania, boys will dress up in bear costumes at Christmas time. They will do traditional Christmas bear dances and also try to prank Christmas carolers by running at them and scaring them in their bear costumes. I don't think I'd recommend running at Christmas carolers in the United States while wearing a bear costume, but I'd be lying if I said it doesn't sound like a lot of fun getting to do it in Romania. Sinifisela Ukisimuse Omule from South Africa. Just like Australia, South Africa is in the southern hemisphere, so they get to have Christmas in the middle of the summer, and that means Christmas is a time for barbecues. South African barbecues are called braais, and friends and family, sometimes an entire block in a neighborhood, will come together and grill just about anything and everything to celebrate Christmas together. God Jul from Sweden. So, believe it or not, in Sweden, there's a tradition of making a 41-foot tall Christmas goat statue made out of straw. The Yule goat is a symbol of Christmas throughout many of the Nordic countries of Europe. And starting in 1966, one particular goat statue in a place called Gävle has become famous for both, being a 41-foot tall straw Christmas goat statue, but also because vandals have traditionally tried to burn it down, even though it's like right next door to the fire station. In the past 54 years, the Gävle goat has been burned down 37 times. I don't know. Maybe the Grinch lives next door because who else would try to burn down a Christmas goat? Veseloho Rizdva from Ukraine. So, in Ukraine, the slightly odd thing is that Christmas is celebrated on January 7th, not December 25th. See, the modern calendar that pretty much the entire world uses now is called the Gregorian Calendar, named after a Roman Catholic pope named Gregory. He had the calendar overhauled because the rules that had been previously used when picking leap years, well, they were slightly off, and that caused the seasons to get out of sync with the date. In other words, if you kept that up long enough, Christmas would start happening in the spring rather than in the winter. Although nearly the entire world uses this calendar today, some branches of Christianity, including the common ones in Ukraine, still use the old Julian calendar. And by the Julian calendar, Christmas currently happens on January 7th. Though if you wait another 100 years, it will drift another day backwards, and Christmas will start happening on January 8th. I think that's it. 12 worldwide Christmas traditions for each of the 12 days of Christmas. I hope you learned something. In the meantime, let me show you the very quick activity for today. Okay, here's what we're going to do for our short little Christmas activity. This should look a bit familiar. This is the same website, Flippity, that we went to in order to make the flashcards to study for the test. Don't worry, I did all the work on making them this time. And you know what? We're not even going to use the flashcards. I'm going to have us do the matching right here. If you click on matching, you'll have all the countries like Japan, Romania, Latvia, Ukraine, and so on. And then the short little Christmas facts I taught you, like Christmas is on January 7th, or the Krampus monster snatches bad children. As soon as you start clicking on these and trying to match them, for example, Japan would match with having KFC for Christmas, notice that this timer starts counting up. Well, I want to challenge you to see how fast you can go. I'm not making this like a minimum. I'm interested to see how low a time a bunch of kids can get. So for me, since I made these, I don't think it's quite fair for me to get a bunch of tries. So I'm going to make this my one and only try. You guys are going to see it. You'll notice every time you click this, it reloads and reshuffles everything. So I'll reshuffle it a bit and we'll see how I can do. All right, here we go. See, that is South Africa. This is the Philippines. Ooh, that's Latvia. There it is. Krampus is Austria right next to it. That would be the Ukraine, and there's that. Let's see, double. It's Brazil. That would be Lebanon. That's there. Japan, Sweden, and we'll finish with Australia. And it looks like I had a time of 22 seconds. Believe me when I say that is very, very beatable, especially if you give yourself a moment to look over the whole thing before the timer starts. Trust me. Well, once you've done this and once you've got your time right here, go ahead and take a screenshot. Hopefully you know how to do that at this point, and you're gonna fill out the brief Google form for today. You'll need to know what your time was. I would put in 0:22, and you'll need to upload your screenshot like we've been doing. How does it feel? There's barely any time left between us and our Christmas winter break. If I don't make another video between now and then, which honestly, I'm really hoping I don't, I'll go ahead and wish you happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all of that. Have a good, relaxing break. And of course, stay safe and stay healthy.